It's 11 p.m. and these are the headlines. Army General Said Chingiha, Chief of Staff of the PNA, paid a work-in and inspection visit to the Engineering and Development Center of Mechanics and Electronics of People's National Army. Algeria reaffirms its commitment to advancing Africa-Russia partnership, aiming for broader cooperation during the Sochi Ministerial Conference. Former National Liberation Front player and legendary footballer Rashid Makhloufi was laid to rest this afternoon at the Alia Cemetery in a moving ceremony attended by family, friends and public figures. The Minister of Interior oversaw the installation of newly appointed governors by the head of state, urging them to intensify efforts in addressing citizens' concerns and improve regional governance. The Maersk Denver, a ship carrying weapons destined for the Zionist entity, docked in Morocco's Tanger after being refused entry by Spain. The arrival has sparked public outrage, with many denouncing Moroccan complicity and violations of international law. Welcome back, everyone. Former National Liberation Front player, ex-coach of the national team, and former PAF president Rashid Makhloufi was laid to rest this afternoon at the Alia Cemetery. Prime Minister Nadil Arabawi, members of the government, family, friends and the large public gathered to pay their respects. The President of the Republic extended condolences to the family and the football community in a message released shortly after the announcement of Makhloufi's passing. To Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return. Family members and loved ones of the late have shared heartfelt tributes, offering personal reflections and memories. Let's have a listen.
Every soul will taste death, and the face of your Lord, full of majesty and honor, will remain. Thank Algeria. May God have mercy on his soul. He had a major role in the Liberation Front's national football team. He contributed with his performances and policy in making the Algerian cause heard abroad. At the time, he was a football star. We hold him in the highest regard and pride. May God have mercy on him. He gave a lot to the Algerian soccer. As a war veteran, as a coach and as a player, his loss is a great loss to the Algerian football.
In other news, Army General Said Chingiha, Chief of Staff of the PNA, paid a work-in and inspection visit to the 1st Military Region, where he inspected the Engineering and Development Center of Mechanics and Electronics of People's National Army. Najah has the details.
After the welcoming ceremony given by Major General Ali Sidan, commander of the 1st Military Region, in the presence of the Controller General of the Army, the Chiefs of Departments and Central Directors of the Ministry of National Defense, and the People's National Army staff, the General followed a detailed presentation on the missions assigned to the center within the industrial apparatus of the People's National Army. Then the General met with the executives and staff of the center and delivered an orientation speech by video conference, which was followed by the personnel equipment at the level of the different military regions, through which he expressed his great satisfaction at meeting with the executives and staff of the Engineering and Development Center in Mechanics and Electronics, who, as he described, are responsible for working on the development of one of the most strategic sectors of the People's National Army. The General emphasized that the High Command grants a capital interest to this sector, through which it tends to lay the foundations of a promising Algerian military industry adapted to the requirements of defense and security, and to increase the availability of our armed forces and gradually meet their operational needs in accordance with our specificities and our defense doctrine. And this in an unstable regional context, an international situation loaded with new challenges and threats. He added that this state of affairs calls on us to count on our own national capacities and on the arms of our children, driven by will and ambition, and who believe in the abilities of their country and its legitimized right to have the elements of power and the means to preserve its independence and national sovereignty and to strengthen its place in the bosom of nations. At the end, the General gave the floor to the staff of the Engineering and Development Center in Mechanics and Electronics, who expressed their concerns and proposals and displayed their willingness to assume their missions with dedication and commitment, with the aim of further improving the quality of products and contributing to the strengthening of operational availability of the People's National Army.
شكرا لك.
Cooperation now, representing the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, Algeria's Minister for Affairs and National Community Abad Ahmed Attaf, arrived in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia today to participate in the second Arab Islamic Summit set for tomorrow. This summit will address the latest developments in the Palestinian issue and the broader Middle East crisis. Algeria's participation highlights its continued support for the Palestinian cause and solidarity with Lebanon against the Zionist aggression. A task by the President of the Republic, the Minister for Affairs and National Community Abad, took part in the first ministerial conference on the Africa-Russia partnership from Sochi. Ahmed Attaf reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to push this partnership towards broader horizons.
Algeria's vision for the future of relations between the African continent and Russia was present in the ministerial conference on the Algeria-Russia partnership, which took place in Sochi, a meeting which made it possible to draw up a roadmap reflecting the depths of the historical relations which unite them. Algeria has clearly displayed its ambition to raise this cooperation to higher levels in order to establish a new, more equitable and sustainable world order.
Algeria warmly welcomes the holding of the first edition of this ministerial conference and supports the establishment of this important mechanism to enrich and strengthen the institutional framework of Russia-Africa partnership. This partnership that we wish to strengthen and promote at the highest possible levels, given the common commitment and aspiration to contribute to the building of a system of international relations where each of our countries will have its legitimate share in terms of security, stability and prosperity.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, called for translating the decisions taken during this meeting into concrete projects in the interest of the peoples of the African continent.
It is with a great degree of commitment that Algeria supports the objectives aimed at increasing the volume of trade between Africa and Russia, as well as increasing the value of Russian investments in African countries in the face of the challenges, threats it faces. Africa continues to show the world that it is a committed and reliable partner that works to build balanced relations that continue to be achieving the sustainable development goals for the benefit of all, without any exception or exclusion and without discrimination.
Ahmed Attaf therefore welcomed the priorities formulated in the conclusions of the conference, in particular those related to the completion of the decolonization process in Africa and the rehabilitation of the continent within the Security Council, recalling the advantages of the Africa-Russia partnership based on historical legacy resulting from the valuable support of Russian friends in favor of African countries during their struggle against colonialism, a partnership that has evolved thanks to the significant contributions of Russia in favor of consolidating the capacities of independent African countries, in particular to establish the foundations of their national economies.
Following the recent reshuffle of governors and delegated governors by the President of the Republic, the Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning has officially appointed Saïd Khrouf as the new Wali Governor of Skikda. The installation ceremony took place in the presence of local officials and key regional figures. And the Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning, Ibrahim Red, installed Sami Al-Harizi as the new governor of Khanshla. The ceremony was held in the presence of local officials and key regional figures On this occasion, Murad emphasized the importance of intensifying efforts to address citizens' concerns, while highlighting that the President of the Republic is personally overseeing the complementary development program for Khishla, which includes major projects aimed at boosting the region's development and enhancing its economic appeal. In Adrar, a formal handover ceremony took place as Ali Bouguira, the governor of Adrar, transferred responsibilities to Al-Arabi Bahloul, the newly appointed governor of Al-Wad. Economic news now. The International Monetary Fund has updated its growth forecast for Algeria, predicting a 3.8% expansion in 2024, up by 0.7% from October 2023 projection. According to the IMF's latest report, Algeria is set to lead the economic growth in both North Africa and the Middle East this year. And controversy erupted as a ship carrying weapons destined for the Zionist entity docked in Morocco. The Maersk Denver, initially denied entry by Spain, made its way to the port of Tanger, igniting fierce public outrage. International organizations and movements have sharply condemned Morocco, accusing it of complicity in violating the Geneva Conventions on Genocide. Rani Al-Bahri.
Once again, Morocco is an accomplice of the Zionist entity by welcoming with open arms the weapons loads on board Maersk Denver intended to fuel the ongoing genocide in Gaza, while Spain has categorically refused to receive the same ship and another in its ports. The maritime tracking sites, Vessel Finder and Marine Traffic, have both confirmed the docking of the container ship at the port of Tanger by allowing the American ship Maersk Denver carrying weapons and supplies intended for the Zionist army to dock at the Tanger port. Morocco is clearly displaying its support for the Zionist occupation, and this in total contradiction with international resolutions and the actions undertaken by several countries to prohibit and suspend the sending of weapons to the Zionist entity, which uses them in its odious genocide in Gaza. The global movement for the boycott, divestment and sanctions called on Morocco to open an investigation into the ship's cargo and publish the results. Moroccan organizations have also severely condemned this act, such as the Moroccan Front for Supporting Palestine and Fighting Against Normalization, which described the presence of the said ship in the Moroccan port as infamy, stressing that the Moroccan authorities have once again shown complicity with the United States, the supplier of its weapons, and with the Zionist entity responsible for brutal atrocities against the Palestinian people in Lebanon, adding that this is the second time that the Makhzen has authorized the Zionist military ship to dock in Morocco after hosting the ENSCOM mute. The Moroccan people have not failed to show their rejection of the Makhzen's policy. Demonstrations have dotted the streets since the ship's docking, but faithful to its policy of turning a deaf ear and going all the way when it comes to the normalization and support of the Zionist entity, the Makhzen completely ignores the will of the people and the principles of international law, making itself an ally of the executioner of an entire people whom it has dispossessed of their lands and whom it continues to massacre.
Drastic step taken by the Moroccan Bar Association for suspending its activities in response to the draft civil procedure code that the Makhzen is trying to impose. The code is widely criticized for restricting the rights of citizens and undermining the role of lawyers, sparking outrage among legal professionals. Another authoritarian measure limiting freedoms and suppressing legal rights in the kingdom. Najah Tayyar.
In Morocco, a strike by lawyers has halted the justice system, leading to the postponement of all cases and leaving courtrooms empty with only files accumulating. The protest was sparked by reforms that many in the legal profession see as harmful to both their work conditions and the integrity of the judicial system.
When
we talk about the draft code of civil procedure, we can say that it's a project that raises concerns about its negative impact on the rights of citizens, such as a project could lead to restrictions on individual freedom, thereby infringing on the rights of citizens who may not even be aware of the seriousness of the situation.
كيف أننا نريد قانونا على مقاسنا
The draft Code of Civil Procedure poses a significant threat, impacting citizens' rights and jeopardizing the independence of the legal profession, potentially limiting fair access to defense. Although the lawyers' union's decision to suspend activities is symbolic, it underscores the gravity of these proposed changes.
This project is not just a problem for lawyers, it's also a big problem for Moroccan citizens.
Moroccan lawyers are calling for changes to draft laws that directly affect their profession and the service they provide to the citizens. In response, associations and non-governmental organizations have expressed their support for the indefinite strike, considering it necessary.
400 days of genocide on Gaza. At least 40 Palestinians were killed by Zionist airstrikes across Gaza on Sunday as a pre-dawn strike on northern Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp kills at least 33, including 13 children and 9 women. And 3 others were killed by drone in a Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza trying to install a water pipe network. And the United Nations report on Friday said about 70% of Gaza's verified death toll is women and children. Lebanese Health Ministry stated that at least 38 people have been killed in Zionist strikes across Lebanon, including 23 in a raid north of the capital Beirut. The ministry also said Zionist strikes killed 3 rescuers in South Lebanon and at least 12 people in the Baalbek region. On Saturday only, at least 53 people were killed across Lebanon, according to the same source. A Zionist strike today on a residential building in the Syrian capital killed 7 civilians, according to the Syrian Defense Ministry, and the second such attack in less than a week. That was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.